How much should you charge for your mastermind and what should you include? I'll reveal all in this video. Be sure that you're liked and subscribed to the channel because we are in the middle of our Masterminds for Coaches Legally series. And if you go back in the archives, you'll also find one-on-one coaching and group coaching with many important topics to come, including when it's time to set up your LLC and what you should do once it's set up. All right, everybody loves to know what's happening behind the scenes in other people's programs. And so we're going to talk about what I'm seeing right now in 2026 when it comes to masterminds. As we talked about in prior videos, masterminds are very different from other types of coaching programs, including groups, even though group coaching settings do bring our clients together. Masterminds are different though, because we are not so focused on necessarily the transformational result, but instead on developing and benefiting from a curated community of other people who are in the same or similar position as we are. With that in mind, we are focused on cultivating those connections, and that really dictates how your program is structured. So there are many things that could be included in a mastermind, but almost always there is some sort of virtual meeting that's happening on a regular basis that is the core of the program. Now, I do want to say there's a caveat to this, because at the other end of the spectrum, we have programs that are simply a one-time in-person meeting, which could be a day, 3 days, or even a week. And there really is nothing outside of that in-person element, except for maybe one warm-up call or something like that. So we're going to talk about all of those variations today. But a traditional, I'll call it mastermind, is usually held over a specific period of time where there is an ongoing and repeated scheduled call for the participants to get to know each other, do hot seats where they get to ask questions and the other members of the group weighs in, or even to have different trainings and guest experts come into the program. So a very common setup for a mastermind is 6 months. There's some sort of meeting place like a Slack channel, a school community, a Facebook group that the participants can talk and, network and mastermind within that group always. But then there are also at least one monthly scheduled call with the host, if not additional calls throughout the week on specific topics. So it could be once a month that you're on or once a week, and then you might also have guest experts come in on topics of interest to the community, or you may have support coaches that are there throughout the week for different topics. Some examples I have seen are there are support coaches who come in and do like somatic work or breath work. There are coaches who come in and talk specifically about various elements of marketing, so like copy, ads, sales calls, those types of things. And of course, this is going to be highly dependent on the type of coach that you are and what your community knows you for and needs from you. So a place to meet and gather online, some type of recurring call that's at least once a month. And these type of containers are usually at least 3 months, but more commonly 6 months or a year. Now, where this can also be adjusted is if you're going to have some sort of in-person component. So this might be a quarterly retreat or an annual retreat, just the one retreat during the time period where everybody comes to one place and not only has time to get to know each other more deeply because it's in person, but also they're leaving their ordinary environments, which we know can sometimes shake loose some aha moments and transformations just because the noise of everyday life is kind of muted, if not completely silenced at these retreats. So it's an opportunity to do deeper work and make deeper connections. Now, my recommendation to you if you are doing that retreat is that you want to make it simply a bonus instead of the core component of the program. And again, that's in the setting where you are going to have this virtual meeting place and these ongoing calls. We want the retreat to be an optional bonus. But other end of the spectrum, as I mentioned at the start of this video, sometimes the retreat itself is the entire their offer. And I've seen Fabienne Fredrickson do this, where she invites a group of women to a home in Provence for a week, and they are able to do this amazing work and really get in touch with themselves and with the community in this fabulous environment that feels like you're on another planet. And if you're hearing wistfulness in my voice, it's because I really wanted to go, and then COVID got involved in life. But also I'm seeing a lot of coaches doing like single day group VIP experiences in Paris. I'm seeing coaches do like 3-day more intimate events. That is the offer. So you can't just say that the in-person component is simply a benefit. Now, a couple videos from now, we're going to talk about the things you need to ask the venue so that you can be sure you're structuring your event properly. And in the next video specifically, we'll talk about the exact legal checklist of documents and policies and waivers and all the things that you need when you are bringing people in person for a mastermind event. But in this video, I really want to talk more about kind of the structure that I'm seeing. So we talked about a few of those options. And now I want to turn to pricing before we go. So what I'm seeing right now in terms of pricing, let me get my notes here. I'm kind of seeing, I'd say, 3 main prices. And the first one is for mastermind that's a year long, that is really focused on community and collaboration. So the idea here is that people are coming into the community not just to get support and camaraderie, but actually to try to do business with each other, particularly around getting visible in business. So with this group, there are no calls hosted by the host, but instead there are monthly panels on different topics where the members of the group have an opportunity to speak to the rest of the group. So this is really great because it takes this burden off the host, and it kind of reinforces the purpose of the group, which is to have these women get to know each other in their areas of expertise so that they can do collaborations that get them all more visible. And what better way than to learn from each other things that are working so that they can have comfort that when they go and promote this person to their community, that they are the real deal. Because of the setup of this program, the host is only charging about $4,500 a year, and everybody really agrees that is on the very low end, particularly because these business women who are in this group are all multi-6, if not 7-figure business owners. Usually we're seeing programs directed at that particular audience more in the $25,000 to $40,000 a year range. So just to give you a feel, $5,000 is just about the very bottom end that you would ever be charging, especially for a mastermind that's going for a full year. You know, maybe for 12 weeks it might make more sense. And in those settings, I'm seeing more like $5,000 to $10,000 for 12 weeks, but even as high as $25,000 depending on the subject matter. Now, for masterminds of really any length that go beyond just the date of the in-person meeting, I am typically seeing about a $10,000 price point minimum if there is a live component. And that live component is not going to be super elaborate. It may just be that everyone travels there, they get their own rooms and food, and that there are some designated meetups that are going to happen with the group. It's uncommon to have a really lavish retreat unless you're charging $15,000 or more, particularly where you're also having a mastermind run outside of just the live event. And then finally, I am seeing between $5,000 and $15,000 for 1 to 3 day in-person groups. And these are kind of like almost like a group VIP day, but it could extend to a weekend where you're coming together with people that you may be interacting with for the first time in this small setting and doing some guided activities and exercises led by the host. So in those regards, it is a little bit different from the curation of community being at the forefront. And instead, this is the curation of community all focused on a particular topic that's going to be covered in the 1 to 3 day window. Now, for those shorter items that are at those kind of more premium price points, that is typically because there is going to be a little more expense on the host's part in terms of providing a really beautiful, unusual, or lavish venue where the meetups are going to occur. We still don't want you covering the travel for people. We don't want you covering the hotels for people, but there will likely be a cost associated for the venue space itself. As always, these are just the packages and pricing that I'm seeing. As you can see from this, there's quite a range, and I want you to choose what's really necessary to accomplish the promise of the program. And from there, you can back out what's really needed to do that, not just give the appearance of fulfilling that promise, but actually doing it. And then from there, you can price accordingly. In my own networking group, I had a pod member that I talked to last year who wanted to rent this absolutely fabulous ski villa in Canada that had been on a Netflix show, and it was going to be $75,000 for the week, which obviously having it at that location is such a draw unto itself. She was going to make a risk assessment of having people actually stay in the chateau or villa or whatever the heck you call it, just simply because there was so much space, and that could offset the cost of them coming. And just thinking through, what would make it worthwhile for people to want to come specifically for this spectacle, while also making it economically feasible for her to cover the cost of the venue as well as her own time and team and all the things that she's bringing to the table. So the sky is the limit. Live events are electric. There's just something so special about them that I know for my own self, I try to at least do 1 or 2 a year. And this year, 2026, I'm set up for my own. So I would love to hear what you're thinking for your own live event packaging, pricing in conjunction with a mastermind. Or if you're just dipping your toe in the water and you don't want to do that live component, you can still curate an amazing year or 6 months for your mastermind members where they have a virtual clubhouse to go to. All right, if you liked this video and you know other coaches need to see it too, please be sure to hit that like button, and then come with me to the next video, because we're going to talk through the exact legal checklist that you need to host a mastermind with or without a live event.